I woke up today doing a lot of self-reflecting and really thinking about how all the planning that is being done to make the Zeal Foundation this amazing organization that I've envisioned it to be. And the main thing that really stuck with me is when I think about all of the challenges that I've faced throughout the course of my life: health, relationships, financial, um, emotional, and the list could go on, not just for me, but for everybody. I think about the one thing that's remained constant throughout the course of my life is how the absence of my biological father has literally influenced adversely and positively virtually every area of my life. This talk is my official appeal to fathers and to men, because I really question, as I look around, whether or not men realize just how important their role is in the home, in the lives of their daughters and sons, and in our communities and in society at large. And when I look back over my life and I think about how for years and years and years I obsessed and took my father's absence in my life personally, I questioned from a very, very young age if his decision to not be a part of my life was because I wasn't pretty enough, because I wasn't smart enough, because I wasn't lovable enough. Why did my father choose not to be a part of my life? And it affected everything. It affected my self-esteem. It affected my relationship with other men in my life. As I got old enough to start entering into relationships with boys and men of my own, it affected everything about my interaction with them. And one of the things that really bothered me, and I didn't understand it as a kid. I didn't even realize that it was bothering me as a kid. But when I look back in retrospect, I understand now that as close as I was to my stepdad and as close as I was to my grandfather and some of my uncles, I look back now and I question why none of them had a conversation with me about the things that boys were going to say to me to try to get me to go to bed with them. The things that men were going to say to me to try to get me to go to bed with them. And those conversations were never had with me. I remember, my grandpapa and my uncle talking about the importance of men opening doors and pulling out our chairs and paying the bill and when we go out on dates and things like that. But some of those core relationship things that really can shatter the spirit and the self-esteem of girls and women, nobody had those conversations with me. And I don't fault them for that. I now question whether or not anybody ever had those conversations with them that equipped them and helped them to understand that having those conversations with their daughters, with their nieces, with their granddaughters, if anybody ever made that point to them so that they would know to even have those conversations. So for me, most of my lessons that I learned about the opposite sex came as a result of trial and error. It came out as a result of a lot of violation and heartache and pain and disrespect. Because what I ended up doing, without even realizing it, is I ended up attracting boys and men that validated the very, very low opinion that I had of myself. And when I was blessed and fortunate enough to interact with boys and men that respected me and that valued me regardless of my behavior, I didn't know how to handle their love, respect, and value and appreciation for me, because there were so many more that treated me like trash. There were so many more that affirmed what I thought on the inside, which was that I wasn't pretty, I wasn't lovable, that there was nothing about me that deserved to have somebody treat me with decency and respect and to love me unconditionally and to add value to me as a girl, as a woman, as a human being. So I decided to have this talk because I think that the message needs to be sent humbly but loud and clear that we need you. We absolutely positively need you. We need you to protect us. We need at times your guidance and your direction and your affirmation and your embrace. We need your unconditional love. We need to know that we matter to you, that we're your princesses, that we're your queens, and that we matter. And if we don't get that message from the men that are our first connection with the opposite sex, how can we ever be anything but violated? If you all don't start setting the appropriate tone, if you all don't start sending the appropriate message to us that we are princesses, that we are queens, that we are extraordinary and beautiful and significant, and all of that, the soda, the rebate, and the bag of chips, how will we possibly know that that's what we're entitled to? If nobody ever teaches us that, if nobody ever demonstrates that, how will we ever know? That is your God-given assignment. It is your God-given responsibility to set appropriate examples for us. And then when you look at the messages that's being sent to our young men, it's no surprise that you've got 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, 35, 40, 45, 50-year-olds, with kids all over the place, siblings that don't even know each other. That's no surprise. My challenge to you, to the men, to the fathers, boys that aspire to be fathers, is that if you don't have anybody in your life to teach you, then I challenge you to believe what's coming out of my mouth and find somebody who can. One of my childhood friends, an amazing, amazing man that I grew up with and who was at one point engaged to marry, and who I love to this day very, very dearly. He said something powerful to me one day that I'll never forget. He said, "Lauren, this country is full of young boys and young men of color that are looking to rappers and looking to President Obama and looking to all of these figures outside of their personal circle of influence to be their hero, to be their guide, to be their direction." He said, My father is my hero. Every time I think about him making that statement to me, it blesses my heart because I know his father. And this is not to suggest that his father is a perfect man, but his father embodies what a man of strength looks like. How he's provided for his family, how he's remained faithful to his wife, how he's set the example in so many ways, even with the mistakes that he's made in parenting. He still embodies what a man of strength, what a true father looks like. And I am convinced to this day that that's part of the reason why his son, even with his imperfections, is still, in my eyes, an extraordinary man. I wish that could be everybody's story. I wish that the girls and the boys and the men and the women that I meet all over the country and around the world could say, Lauren, I don't have to look to this person and that person and the other person to be my hero. My father is my hero. My mother is my hero. My grandmama and my aunties and my uncles are my heroes. We need to get back to that. We need to take those roles very, very seriously. I am sick and tired of traveling all over the country and around the world and seeing young black girls and young women of color with one on the hip, one in the stomach, and one, sometimes two, in the stroller. I'm sick of it. And 9 times out of 10, just keeping it real, from what I've seen, it's a bunch of different baby daddies. From where I sit, that's a father-daughter problem. That's not a promiscuity problem. That's a looking for love in all the wrong places problem that began with the breakdown of the father-daughter relationship. And we need to fix that thing. And we need to fix it yesterday. And when I look at these young boys that are out here running around, hitting it and quitting it with everything moving, and got baby mamas all over the place, can't even appreciate the blood that was shed for them to be able to go to college because they got babies everywhere, and child support warrants, and getting locked up. That's not a promiscuity problem. That's a father-son problem. And we need to fix it yesterday. This message is a call to action. It's Lauren taking the authority over the situation and saying, the line is drawn in the sand. Enough is enough. It is time for our black men to man up. And for those of you that's not your story, I'm calling you to a higher level of action. I'm calling you to reach out and to grab the boys in your community, your nephews, these brothers that are incarcerated and coming home and going back to the same craziness. This is also a call to action to you to do more than what you're doing, because we are losing entire generations of our young people because fathers are not on their post. I said in a previous discussion to my sisters Why are you willing to entertain a brother that got babies all over the place? Why is he an option? Why? He should only be an option if he's taking care of all them kids and he's no longer living the lifestyle that created that circumstance in the first place. When I was looking for love in all the wrong places, I was an easy mark. I was an easy mark because I was emotionally so needy, so pressed for somebody to love me and to care about me and to tell me that I mattered, that I ended up being linked up at different points in time in my life with some stone cold knuckleheads. Stone cold knuckleheads. And I deserved so much better than that. But I didn't realize it at the time. We've got to do better. And we can't do better yesterday. We got to start doing better right now, here today. I'm calling you to action. I'm calling folk to do some self-examination. I'm asking women to stop fixing their mouth to say that all men are dogs. All men aren't dogs. Maybe all the men that you're attracting are dogs, but guess what? On the real, that's not their fault. That's your fault. And why is it your fault? Because you have something going on inside of you that you have yet to address that's drawing that type of man to you. To my brothers, I say, if you're attracting these girls and these women that are obsessive and crazy and cutting on you and cussing you out and emasculating you and handling you all types of foul ways, don't put the blame on her. I need you to check yourself and acknowledge what's going on inside of you. What is your internal magnet that's attracting that type of broken woman to you? We got a bunch of mommy and daddy issues that we need to get resolved immediately and ongoing so that we can brighten the future for our young people. We got to stop. We have to realize that it's not working. I had a colleague share with me who was doing an engagement at one of the prisons in Philadelphia. And he was explaining the importance of breaking the cycle because, you know, the majority of the prison population in this country are black men. And the 8-year-old boy grabbed his crotch and said to my colleague, "Yo, I can't wait to come up in here. My daddy in here, my uncles is in here, my granddaddy in here. This the place to be." What's wrong with that picture? That young man at 8 years old has been conditioned to believe that the high point of his life is going to prison. That young girl that at 4 years old is talking about she can't wait to get a tattoo. Are you crazy? Why is a 4-year-old talking about getting a tattoo instead of talking about going to college? Why? It's time to come higher. It is time to come higher. It is time to do better. It is time to take responsibility and accountability for our brokenness, and we need to fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it. I'm done.